The business world is constantly evolving, but the principle that reward follows skill remains steadfast. It's an enduring truth. Today, we're unveiling 10 essential business skills that consistently generate wealth. The common pitfall is complacency, settling for mediocrity. Since you're watching Capital Sense, that's clearly not you. We'll also illustrate what these skills look like when applied at the highest levels. Believe me, mastering these will secure your financial future. Welcome to Capital Sense, where astute minds gain insights. Let's begin with a set of crucial core business competencies. First up is strategy, the absolute cornerstone in business. The typical business often confuses strategy with merely having an idea. They might declare, "I'll launch a coffee shop," or "I'll sell apparel," or "I'll develop an app." This simply equates to choosing something and hoping for success. A prime example of genuine strategy is Netflix. They started by distributing DVDs. Instead of clinging to that model, they posed a critical question: where is the market heading? This led their pivot from physical media to streaming, which proved immensely successful. When others followed into streaming, Netflix had already invested heavily in creating their own content, solidifying their position as a leading global media entity. That truly defines the skill of strategy, not just conceiving an idea, but identifying the opportune market and crafting the optimal plan to dominate it. This approach is perpetually valuable. Moving on, the next skill involves adeptly positioning yourself within that market to distinguish yourself from rivals. This is where innovation becomes indispensable. Many businesses perceive innovation as inventing something unprecedented. Consequently, they often dedicate years to developing products no one actually requested. Conversely, consider Apple. Apple didn't originate the MP3 player, the smartphone, or the tablet. However, once consumers experienced an iPhone, every other smartphone appeared obsolete. The same holds true for the iPod, iPad, and Mac computers. At its zenith, innovation isn't about conjuring radical inventions. It's about significantly enhancing existing solutions, making them so superior that they command attention. Now, the subsequent skill is marketing, because regardless of how extraordinary your product is, it won't matter if it remains unknown. Most businesses approach marketing by simply trying to be the loudest. This represents average marketing, which garners fleeting attention before fading. For an exemplar of world-class marketing, look no further than Nike. When you observe figures like Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, or Cristiano Ronaldo in Nike attire, it imbues their products with associations of victory, peak performance, and excellence. Nike captures attention in a manner that deeply resonates with its audience. This is why Nike possesses some of the most effective marketing globally. Average marketing gets you noticed, but exceptional marketing ensures you're chosen, and the capacity to achieve that will always be paramount. Marketing secures attention, but crucially, you must convert that attention into revenue. This brings us to the next fundamental and timeless business skill: sales. This particular skill can be challenging and, frankly, often carries a negative connotation. Your typical mental image of a salesperson might be a used car dealer pressuring you to overpay for a lemon destined to fail. In reality, however, sales executed at an exceptional level doesn't even feel like selling. Firstly, the sales process commences long before any request for payment. The world's most successful businesses offer organic solutions that genuinely address people's needs and desires. Thus, they are never in a position where they must resort to manipulative tactics. At its highest echelon, the skill of sales is essentially the ability to assist others in making the most suitable decision. So, discard the image of the unscrupulous car salesman and instead conceptualize sales as the conduit between generating value and realizing it. If you can master this, reaching that proverbial point of being able to sell ice to an Eskimo, then financial concerns will become a thing of the past. However, understanding these concepts is merely the initial step. Every single skill we're discussing today is a complex domain in itself. If you genuinely intend to leverage these skills to build wealth, you must go beyond mere comprehension. You need to achieve mastery. So, those covered the core business skills: strategy, innovation, marketing, and sales. But it's not solely about having a stellar product and aggressively selling it. At the top tier, it also encompasses the softer skills, the more nuanced elements that might not immediately appear on a balance sheet, but are instrumental in generating significant long-term returns. Therefore, our next topic is negotiation. It's an intriguing one. To illustrate its mastery, consider SpaceX as a compelling case study given its unique challenges. On the supply side, SpaceX needed to procure components and materials from suppliers accustomed to charging exorbitant prices to the U.S. government. Elon Musk, however, refused these inflated costs. He successfully negotiated these expenses down, saving the company millions and demonstrating that SpaceX could construct rockets for a fraction of NASA's previous expenditures. On the customer front, Musk had to negotiate multi-billion-dollar contracts with the U.S. government itself, persuading them to entrust a private space company, an unprecedented concept at the time. SpaceX secured contracts vital for its survival. In high-level business, negotiation is a critical skill to hone, as a single detrimental deal can jeopardize a company, while a brilliant one can generate immense value. This is why negotiation is a timeless skill. Next, skill number 6 is leadership, one of the most invaluable on this list. Many individuals, upon assuming a leadership role, believe it's primarily about issuing commands, setting objectives, and demanding results. While this might yield short-term gains, it cultivates a climate of apprehension and internal competition. In reality, you want your team to collaborate, united by a shared mission. Exceptional leaders operate differently. Consider Satya Nadella, the current CEO of Microsoft. When he took the helm in 2014, the company was plagued by a detrimental, overly corporate culture, rampant internal politics, and stagnant growth. One of Nadella's initial actions was to transform Microsoft from a know-it-all culture into a learn-it-all culture. Employees were encouraged to experiment, and managers were trained to mentor them through mistakes rather than criticize. This shift didn't just make Microsoft a more pleasant workplace, it genuinely revitalized its workforce, once again positioning them as one of the world's most valuable corporations. This illustrates what exceptional leadership truly entails: not merely giving orders, but cultivating an environment that consistently drives long-term success. Moving forward, the next skill on our roster is system design. This is often overlooked, yet it's paramount for genuine business growth. System design involves creating the underlying processes and operational routines within your organization. This includes everything from order processing and product manufacturing to customer service. The flaw in many businesses is that their systems are simply improvised. Tasks are repeated, processes are chaotic, errors accumulate, and eventually it spirals out of control. For an example of masterful system design, look to McDonald's. They are renowned for speed. In their kitchens, every detail is meticulously engineered for clockwork efficiency. But what's less visible is that McDonald's, as an entire entity, operates as a sophisticated system. They perfected franchising, enabling them to replicate their restaurant model thousands of times globally. Furthermore, they've established ultra-efficient systems for supply chains, sourcing, distribution, and marketing, all functioning seamlessly on a global scale. This is why McDonald's, fundamentally a burger chain, evolved into one of history's most prosperous businesses. Their systems are impregnable. That is the transformative power of system design. When executed effectively, it can turn any ordinary business into a highly scalable enterprise. All right, the next skill on our list is resource allocation. Many people aren't even aware of this skill, yet it's being exercised every single day. Resource allocation is the art of directing your company's focus, capital, and energy. Consider this. A company has products, marketing and sales efforts, operations, and a workforce, all contributing to significant complexity. Effective resource allocation is about expertly managing all of it. This means knowing which departments to expand, which initiatives to fund, which individuals to hire, and where to intensify efforts to ensure the entire company progresses. It's a challenging skill. Frankly, most businesses squander time and money on unproductive ventures. In contrast, observe how Jeff Bezos managed Amazon. Even when the online retail arm was a massive success, he persistently reinvested in concepts that could fuel the company's long-term expansion. The prime example is Amazon Web Services, AWS, its cloud computing division. What began as a modest side project has now become, by far, the most profitable segment of the entire corporation. This was solely because Bezos recognized its potential and channeled resources into it. That encapsulates the essence of resource allocation, the ability to identify the most crucial priorities and then dedicate the appropriate time, capital, and energy to them. Now let's discuss timing, the subsequent skill on our list. Most people don't even consider it a skill, but it absolutely is. Timing is the knack of executing the correct action at the optimal moment. Many entrepreneurs conceive brilliant ideas that, in theory, should succeed, but the world simply isn't prepared for them. Vine serves as a perfect illustration. They pioneered the platform focusing on short-form vertical video, precisely what billions now consume daily. However, at that time, smartphones lacked sufficient power, internet speeds were too slow, and a robust ecosystem of creators was absent. Vine was simply too early, ahead of its time. Years later, TikTok launched with essentially the same concept, but at the opportune moment. Phones boasted superior cameras, internet connections were faster, and content creators were ubiquitous. The timing was impeccable, enabling TikTok to explode into one of the world's most dominant social media platforms. The critical difference between Vine and TikTok wasn't the idea itself, it was timing. This underscores why timing is such an enduring business skill. Even the most brilliant idea will falter if the world isn't ready for it. Finally, onto our 10th skill, networking. Many individuals disregard this, believing a strong idea and sheer effort suffice to build a business. However, the reality is that throughout this journey, you will require others to help solve problems you cannot tackle alone: suppliers, manufacturers, strategic alliances. A business cannot thrive without a robust network. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, exemplifies mastery of this skill. Those familiar with Sam often remark that if he were stranded on a deserted island, he would return a month later having established leadership. Fundamentally, he possesses an extraordinary ability to forge connections with exceptional individuals. This is, in essence, how OpenAI originated, with a world-class team of brilliant minds driven to develop AI. And look at their achievements today. They've transformed the world. That is the immense power of networking. Tools will change, industries will evolve, but the capacity to build relationships with the right people has always been, and will perpetually remain, one of the most timeless business skills. All right, Capital Sense viewers, we've covered a substantial array of skills today, but we feel compelled to offer one more bonus skill. Frankly, executing all these skills at a high level is essentially the minimum requirement for survival. The truth is, the economy is intensely competitive. Every serious company boasts excellent products, talented personnel, substantial marketing budgets, and innovative concepts. This implies that if you're offering something, it's highly probable that a competitor at your level is offering something similar. So, how do you genuinely differentiate yourself for the long term? This is where the skill of branding comes into play. And we're not talking about just a logo or a catchy slogan here. That's not branding, that's mere ornamentation. True branding delves much deeper. At its core, branding encapsulates the totality of every interaction a customer has with your business, the entire experience. And no one has mastered this better than Apple. Their Think Different campaign made customers feel like participants in a movement. Enter any Apple store and every detail is designed to draw you in. The staff are exceedingly helpful and personable. When you acquire a new product, the unboxing feels like an event. When you use it, it simply works, and works beautifully. The point is, every single interaction with Apple, whether through their advertisements, their stores, their people, or their products, feels exceptional. That is the fundamental reason for Apple's brand success. Regardless of how advanced the technology from other companies may be, they haven't yet been able to replicate that experience. And that is the formidable power of the skill of branding. It's the most significant leverage a business can employ to distinguish itself from the competition and forge a lasting legacy. All right, Capital Sense viewers, those were the 10 timeless business skills that consistently generate wealth, plus a bonus. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to continue learning how to build prosperity. Remember, if you're serious about truly acquiring these skills and applying them in the real world, invest in yourself. That's a wrap for us today, my friends. Take care, and we'll see you back here next time.